And welcome back to WGN TV Political Report. We're just under a year from the next time Illinois voters will go to the polls. But it's never too early to start selling your message across the state, right? Well, last week in an announcement that actually shook nobody, Governor J.B. Pritzker made it official. He's running for re-election. WGN political reporter Tamon Bradley talked with Pritzker one-on-one about his pitch and what he wants to accomplish in a second term.
Well, you know, when I ran for governor 4 years ago, I said that I wanted to tackle the big challenges that were facing our state and also to put the state back on the side of working families to make sure that Springfield was working for them. And to be frank with you, no one imagined that we'd also be facing a deadly global pandemic. But we made great strides nevertheless to move Illinois in the right direction. We raised the minimum wage. We expanded health care for people across the state. We made sure we were getting our fiscal house in order. We put people to work building roads and bridges and schools. And we're making government work for the people of Illinois. So I'm running for re-election because there's so much more that we can do to help Illinoisans meet their full potential.
You came into this never having held elected office before. What did you learn about being an elected office holder and working with other people who are elected?
Well, for years before I became governor, I've been serving people in a variety of ways. As you know, been a national leader in early childhood education, something I care deeply about. You know, been involved in making sure that kids got the proper nutrition in schools and so on. So when I came to government, I was all about making sure that we're serving all the people of our state. So that's what I've been trying to do. As you know, my campaign 4 years ago and my governance has really been about the kitchen table issues for working people all across our state. So getting them better jobs, making sure they can send their kids to college at a lower cost, doing what we can to provide jobs that are better than the ones that they've got now, raising their wages, helping people rather save for retirement. There's so much more that we can do, right? These are the challenges that face people in their everyday lives. And that's what I focus on, think about every day when I wake up and when I go to bed.
With the resurgence of COVID cases in America, some of the leading Wall Street forecasters are rethinking their rosy projections. Do you expect that you'll need to put restrictions back in place?
You know, I follow these numbers very closely. I think you've seen that for the last year and a half, that I wake up every day and I look at the numbers, how many people are being tested positive for COVID-19, how many are going into the hospital, how many in ICU beds, and of course, how many people have passed. And that's something I monitor every day, and I talk to our Department of Public Health and my team about on a very regular basis. So we're monitoring closely what's happening with the Delta variant. Missouri is the worst state in the union right now for COVID, and it is bleeding over into southern Illinois and Metro East. And so you've seen a significant rise in cases in those areas and people going into the hospital. The one thing that we know is that 99% of the people who are dying from COVID now are people who are unvaccinated. So people need to get vaccinated. And I've provided vaccine everywhere in the state. People's doctors have it. They're at clinics everywhere. We have vaccination sites everywhere. People know where they can get vaccinated, and we're trying to educate them and incentivize them to go get that. We're doing a pretty good job so far, but there are an awful lot of people who are unvaccinated, and I worry about them.
You mentioned the unvaccinated. We have variants that are sort of ravaging unvaccinated people. I guess what I hear from you is you can't rule out the possibility you may have to issue a mask mandate and other restrictions again. You just can't take that off the table.
Well, mitigations, you know, if we need them, we'll consider them. We're watching the numbers very closely, and I haven't been hesitant to issue those mitigations to make sure that we're doing the right thing to keep people safe. So I'm going to continue to monitor it, but right now, watching day to day, we haven't had to move on those mitigations.
And on the LaSalle Veterans Home outbreak, the COVID outbreak there, 36 veterans dead, the Watchdog report detailed widespread mismanagement, inadequate leadership and structure. A number of families have filed suit. Should the state settle with the families of the victims?
I just want to back up and remind you that the challenges that we faced in our veterans home, we've seen challenges in all congregate settings across the state. This virus has been so unpredictable, and I grieve for the many families who have lost loved ones, for the loved ones themselves, and especially for those heroes that lost their lives, because you know that my father and grandfather both were naval officers. I have enormous reverence for those who serve our country. I really believe that we should do the right thing for the families. We have to, look at all the facts and circumstances. This is something that resides, as you know, with the Office of the Attorney General, but obviously we want to get to it as, as expeditiously as possible.
It sounds like Republicans are going to use this issue against you. We saw Rodney Davis made some statements yesterday mentioning your failure of leadership in protecting the veterans.
Well, I want to remind you that Republicans did absolutely nothing to help us save lives or livelihoods during this pandemic. They didn't vote for any of they weren't in favor of the mitigations. They weren't in favor of the things that we did to keep small businesses open. They didn't vote for any of that. They didn't vote for housing supports. They didn't vote really for anything that helped people during this pandemic. I wish they had been working in tandem with Democrats to get things done, but they were unwilling to do so. And I reached out to Republicans throughout the pandemic. We're still in the pandemic. I reach out to Republicans all the time because I need their input. I want all the people of Illinois to participate in what we need to get done.
The legislative inspector general resigned, saying Springfield's not ready for real ethics reform. What's your best case scenario? What package of reforms are you demanding?
As you know, I have been on this subject from the very moment that I came into office. I talked about it every year, and we got things done. In my first year in office, we had lobbying reforms. That was a very important advancement. Then the legislature, as you know, has taken up and passed on a bipartisan basis some ethics reforms. I also have talked about the fact that some of those reforms didn't go far enough. But look, perfect shouldn't be the enemy of good enough, and we ought to get some of that passed, and they did. And so we had to do much more. I think, for example, the revolving door provision is not long enough. But that's not what the legislature passed. I have been advocating for it, and I'm going to continue. We're making progress all along here, but we have much more work to do.
In response to Chicago's violent surge, a number of people have called on you to send in the National Guard or declare a state of emergency. What have you done to help combat the violence in Chicago, and what more can you do?
So we've doubled funding for violence interruption programs, for anti-violence programs, to make sure that we're doing our part as a state government for cities across the state, not just Chicago, but significantly those dollars go to Chicago. The additional thing is that our state police are working very closely in tandem with the U.S. Attorney's Office, as well as with other federal authorities like the ATF, to stop the flow of guns that are coming across the border from Indiana and from other states that surround Illinois that have lax gun laws. So these are the kinds of things that are helpful, not fully determinative, but very helpful to try to reduce the amount of violence. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, what we've seen across the nation is an increase in gun violence. So we've got to put all hands on deck. Everybody's got to put their effort forward, and that's what we've done at the state level, and I think the city is doing its part as well.
And we know, Governor, you have no problem self-funding your campaign. How much is too much of your own money to spend? Last time you obviously faced a very wealthy opponent in the general. You said it was imperative to beat him, and do you need to spend close to $200 million this time?
Look, it's my role to try to communicate what I believe in and what I think that the people of Illinois, are hoping for. And so focusing on the kitchen table issues is what I've been talking about all along. That's, whenever we have communicated, it's been about lifting up the working families of Illinois. So I'm going to continue to communicate about that.
There's no self-cap then?
Look, there's no doubt that Republicans are going to run a robust campaign against Democrats across the state. I've been about lifting up Democrats all across the state. You saw me do it in 2018, Blue Wave, Illinois. We've got it again in 2022, because we need to make sure that we're electing Democrats in county commission races and state rep and state senate races, really all across the state, because it's the values of Democrats that are really about our working families and doing what's best for our state.
We'll watch the flow of the money. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
And thank you, Taman. Indeed, then candidate J.B. Pritzker spent nearly $171 million of his own fortune last time around. Now, some of that money went to other Democratic candidates, but the bulk was spent on defeating Bruce Rauner, who dropped just over $70 million of his own funds, turning the statewide race into the most expensive in Illinois history. What that means for this time around, it's not clear. Pritzker has already pumped $35 million into his campaign coffers. But there are just a few Republicans lining up for the chance to challenge Pritzker next November so far. Businessman Gary Rabine, a conservative state senator, Darren Bailey, and former state lawmaker Paul Schimpf. They're in the GOP race. Congressman Rodney Davis and Adam Kinzinger have long faced speculation that they might jump in, especially if the Democrat-led redistricting process kicks them off Capitol Hill. Now, so far, neither has committed, although Davis has stepped up his criticism of Pritzker's record. Could be a sign. One of them could attract a big-money Republican donor, but it's going to be hard to compete with Pritzker's estimated $3.5 billion fortune. Still to come, bolstering the city's battle against gun violence, how the feds are hoping to help a city struggling to gain control.